My objective is to kind of give you an overview of how the utility, PG&E in particular, connects to the electronics business, and also how we look at the green plug technology as part of that. And what I'd like to do is give you an expectation at the end that you'll be able to see the issues that utilities deal with in this space, and how we might actually be a player in the advancement of the green plug type technologies. I'm with the Emerging Technologies program here, and so I feel compelled to give you a bit of a plug here for emerging technologies, just to give you an understanding of how we operate within the company. First of all, emerging technologies are technologies that are introduced to the market, or they're ready to go, and PG&E can actually employ them to achieve energy savings. Or at least they have to be close to that so that we can get them into the state that they go into the market. They also have to be energy saving, and that's part of emerging technologies' role, is to make sure that they do save energy and that it's substantial on behalf of the company. And third, and probably the most problematic, is these technologies have to be capable of adoption by users. So all of these issues around, would you want to use a different type of plug technology, and what does it have to look like? And secondly, how do we actually make it so that people adopt it on their own? Okay? We can't deal with things and achieve energy savings without some substantial market penetration, and that's a substantial issue for utilities in general. One of the things that emerging technologies did over the last year or two was we commissioned a study that gave us an idea of what the electronics savings opportunities were for us as a company. And just looking at a number of the major devices, maybe 5 or 6 electronics types, we saw that in 2005, there are something like 60 million different devices. If you divide that up, that means about 13 per household for each of the PG&E customers. And those devices use up to 18% of the residential and the small business energy use in electricity. That's pretty amazing when you think about it. And here we are a couple of years later, and those numbers are obviously bigger. The really scary thing about that study is that by 2010, we could see up to a 57% increase in the energy consumption just by the growth of these electronics devices. Not only they may be getting more efficient, but the sheer magnitude of the numbers that are being sold are increasing the... That'll teach me to use someone else's computer. Okay? And if you look at that growth rate in terms of time, you can see that, yes, it does grow at a fairly linear rate, and the amount of energy consumption is going up substantially. And the other thing I wanted to point out here is that there is a role for the personal electronic charger or the green plug type device in that growth rate. The interesting thing is that the charger device does not look like a big chunk of the overall energy picture. And it also does not look like a large growth area in this slide. But it is something that as a company we need to pay attention to, not only because it is growing, but from the opportunity side. If you look at the opportunity to actually save electricity with these devices, the personal charger is very significant. In fact, it's the third largest bar on this chart, where the company might be able to take advantage of saving energy on behalf of the state of California and for us as consumers. So small office equipment, set-top boxes, presumably that we all are adopting with time, and then personal chargers are very substantial in the opportunity side of the picture. So what does that mean? For us and other utilities in general, the market is a huge challenge. I mean, it's made up of many diverse devices, okay? We're used to incentivizing people to use efficient electronics, efficient light bulbs, building technologies, and to have a market that's this diverse, over tens of different types of electronic devices. That's a huge challenge for us to build programs to actually accommodate that. In general, these devices have only small energy savings opportunities each. So we're talking about an extra watt or two here and there. For computers, you may save 10 watts or something with an efficient power supply. But that's spread over a very large number of devices, okay? It's a very very interesting market in the sense that we have very small incremental power savings opportunities over many, many devices. That's a different type of business model than we're used to. Also, we're used to providing incentives to users to use energy-efficient devices. And in this case, with electronics, are they really compelling enough? If I offer you $10 to buy a more efficient computer that costs $1,000, you may not be very interested in that. Okay? So we have to think about our incentive structures and how we market things to reach more customers in different ways than we have in the past. And as someone pointed out earlier, we have a very complex market structure with electronics. We have major manufacturers like the HPs and the Sonys of the world who have business strategies that are based on their market share and their cost structures. And the utilities have very little impact on that unless we can empower something that gets into their business strategy. Manufacturers, we have distribution channels, we have value-added resellers, we have the end consumer, we have retailers. And all of these things vary by different type of electronic. And quite frankly, electronics in general will go through multiple channel paths to different types of customers. And so that presents a huge challenge for us. And ultimately, for PG&E or other utilities to be successful in this area, that means we have to do something new. And that is, we have to get into deeper market penetration than we have in the past. If you look at the history of the light bulb, for example, where we've gone from a few percentage points up to maybe 10, 15% penetration of the compact fluorescent bulb, for example, over 15, 20 years, that requires a lot of staying power and a lot of market development to get to that type of market penetration. We have very few successes in that way, and electronics absolutely demands that. We can't achieve significant energy savings without having major market penetration. So, we've talked about the fact that there are lots of charger devices. I actually went home and I tried to count all mine up, and when I got down to my irrigation system, I gave up. I really don't know how many I have. Okay. So it just gives you an idea. They're so ubiquitous in our lives that we don't even know where they are at this point. And from a technology standpoint, again, from the emerging technologies role, the plug technology basically is based on three things: the efficient power supply, and as we've seen, we're getting into more efficient internal power supplies that Noah talked about, and these are now morphing into the external power supply efficiency as well. The battery charger itself, which is basically built into the device, and better efficient, more efficient rechargeable batteries, which will use more, less power as time goes on. And that's a really difficult technical problem. And finally, we'd all like to see commonality, because we know from the user standpoint that having things that have a diversity of chargers just makes no sense. And as things proliferate, it's only going to get more complex for us. Hopefully the manufacturers will see that, and that will become a sales market issue that's important to them.